like microscopic mutation in the sequence, say a misplaced hyphen, it doesn't just sit there in isolation.
Right, it replicates.
Exactly. Because institutions rely so heavily on templates, that mutation just gets copied into the next document and then the next until the whole system is basically infected with an error. Welcome to today's deep dive, where we are looking at a really fascinating article by Aries Chan on legislative documentation.
And mission today is to explore how sweating those smallest, seemingly invisible details is really the only safeguard for an institution's prestige.
And the law itself, honestly.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that DNA analogy is perfect because we suffer from what psychologists call, inattentional blindness. We trust our established templates so completely that our brains literally stop processing the words on the page.
Wow, so we just see the familiar, comforting shape of the routine.
Yeah, exactly. It is like blindly following a GPS.
Right, because we naturally assume that if an ordinance at the Capitol has passed through dozens of high-ranking hands, well, it must be bulletproof. So we just skim the fine print.
And we focus on the broad policy strokes instead.
Right. Which brings us to the core story from Chan's article. So a research and policy unit was at this two-day legislative seminar. They were deep in the weeds discussing, complex voting rules for renaming historical buildings.
Which sounds like pretty standard stuff.
Yeah, but while everyone else was debating the big picture, this one staff member was actually scrutinizing the archival records.
And what's fascinating here is what they found. Across multiple existing ordinances, a common Latin phrase was being consistently and incorrectly hyphenated.
Okay, let's unpack this. I mean, let me push back a little. If a document has been vetted by senior lawyers, lawmakers, archivists, isn't it a massive waste of a junior staffer's time to be obsessing over the hyphenation of a dead language?
You would think so, right?
Yeah, I mean, why not just trust the legal team's template and focus on the actual building being renamed?
Well, because in the legislative realm, punctuation literally is the law. A hyphen functions as a compound modifier.
Okay, right.
So if you incorrectly hyphenate a Latin legal term, you fundamentally alter whether that phrase is describing a physical property or dictating a specific legal action.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it ceases to be just a grammatical typo. It becomes a literal change in the interpretation of the statute.
That is wild, but spotting the error is just a technical skill, right? I mean, this staffer actually raised their hand in a room full of people and pointed the error out to the guest speaker.
Which takes serious nerve.
Right. Because if I am junior in rank, my immediate instinct is to assume I am the one who doesn't understand the Latin. I am not going to question the official Capitol archives.
Yeah, and overcoming that psychological barrier is the real hurdle. It is why Chan coins the phrase, the courage to clarify.
I love that. The courage to clarify.
Yeah, because professionalism is defined by the caliber of your scrutiny, not your place on the organizational chart. And the guest speaker actually stopped the seminar to praise the observation.
Which is great, and that sparked an immediate correction in the archives, right? So it prevented that mutation from permanently infecting future laws. But how do we stop these mutations before they happen?
Well, Chan provides a precision roadmap, and it starts with active review.
We were just talking about a quick spell check here, I assume.
Far from it. Active review means treating every single document as a rough draft. No matter how many times it has been, rubber stamped, you have to actively fight your brain's desire for cognitive ease.
Which naturally leads to the second step, which is verifying assumed standards. Just because a piece of legal jargon or, say, a Latin term has been used in 50 previous ordinances doesn't actually make it authoritative.
Exactly. You have to cross-reference against actual dictionaries and legal standards, because if you blindly trust the template, you are trusting a process that might have been broken 3 years ago by someone casually copying and pasting an error.
To combat that, the article suggests a highly practical defense mechanism. It says you should create a shared common error log for your unit.
Right, a common error log.
Yeah, so if you track terms that are frequently misused in local legislation, you catch those mutations early. Spending 10 minutes cross-checking the archives for recurring technical errors ensures that future templates are actually clean.
It ultimately comes down to refusing to let institutional routine override your own critical observation.
Absolutely. And for you listening, I mean, the stakes might not be historical building ordinances, but no matter your field, providing a meticulously verified, error-free roadmap for your team makes you the ultimate safeguard for your institution's prestige.
Definitely. You become the person who ensures the foundation is actually solid, rather than just assuming the concrete dried correctly.
Exactly. Which leaves us with this final thought. If official capital records can harbor undetected legal mutations for years simply because people blindly trusted the template, what unquestioned templates or routines in your own life are quietly perpetuating mistakes right now?